After Muhammad bin Tughlaq, Firoz Shah Tughlaq became the next Sultan of India in 1351. Was an orthodox Sunni Muslim, was very humble and simple. He was also a scholar, was a learned person who loved the scholars, wanted to have an Islamic rule in Indian subcontinent. He very strictly introduced the zakat system in India in his administration among the Muslims in the society, and he imposed jizya, another tax, the religious tax or military tax upon the non-Muslims, which is a Quranic tax. After which he inaugurated wide irrigational system. He made great public work system in his land. He had a great high judicial mind, etc. Who appointed in his court some scholars, Ziauddin Barani and Siraji Afif, etc. In short, Sultan Firoz Shah Tughlaq loved the scholars and the learners. After Firoz Shah Tughlaq, this dynasty began to feeble or decline, and after Tughlaq, some minor dynasties came to power. Sayyid dynasty, Khizr Khan was the founder of this dynasty, and after the Sayyid dynasty, Lodi dynasty came to power. Bahalul Lodi was the founder of this dynasty. Sikandar Lodi was the most ruler of this dynasty, and Ibrahim Lodi was the last one of this dynasty. With Ibrahim Lodi, he was not a strong ruler, so he had to fail before the Babur, the next dynastical ruler who came to India in 1526 AD. Ibrahim Lodi and the new coming Sultan or Babur or the King Babur faced together in the battlefield of Panipat in 1526. This is known as in the history of India, First Battle of Panipat. With this battle, a long period of the Delhi Sultanate came to an end and started another dynasty which we call the Mughal dynasty in India. This period is we also called for only the student convenience the medieval India second part. Mughals, they were the Afghan people, and Babur was the founder of this dynasty. His real name was Zahiruddin Muhammad Babur, who came to India in 1526, fought with Ibrahim Lodi in 1526 at the Battle of Panipat. And he succeeded the battle. Babur was the founder of this dynasty, who had a short period in India. His period ended with 1530. Before this, Babur, Zahiruddin Muhammad Babur, who was a great scholar, and he loved education and even all the Indian conditions. He wrote his own autobiography also which we call the Tusuki Babari in the Turkish language. In this work, we can get all the information of India of that period, geographical, even environmental and social, the economical and political and cultural conditions of India of that period clearly says this book. So it is a very good historic work. So he was called as the Prince of Autobiographies, equals with the autobiographical work of Gandhi, My Experiment with Truth. Babur had to face about 3 battles: Battle of Kanwa, then Battle of Chanderi, then the Battle of Gogra, after which Babur died. Then comes his son Humayun, the next successor of Babur. Humayun had 2 series. First he came to power. After some time he lost his power and he was defeated by Sher Shah Suri. After some period, Humayun returned to India again, restored in power. Humayun was not a strong ruler. Then comes the Sher Shah Suri, who was actually a good administrator in medieval India, who was the forerunner of Akbar the Great, introduced so many novel reforms in India. After the death of Sher Shah, Akbar became the ruler of India. Akbar is called as the great ruler or administrator, Akbar the Great, in 1556 and 1605. This was Akbar came to power in the battle with the second battle of Panipat in 1556. Akbar became a national administrator in India. He introduced so many systems of administration in India, who independently founded his own religion, which we call the Deen Ilahi. And he introduced another civil military system in India. Though he was not the originator of this system in India, but he regularized, systematized the system of Mansabdari. Akbar was a great administrator, who was a secular ruler, who considered the non-Muslims, especially the Hindu Rajabuts, in his administration. Akbar appointed so many Hindu Rajaput leaders in his appointments. However, Mughal system of administration is connected with Akbar the Great. There are so many rulers in Mughal dynasty, but Akbar only became the great in the history. So, for all the examples, historians cites the Mughal administration means the Akbar's administration. And the power of Akbar was so great, and he became a national secular ruler at that period. That was the reason. After Akbar the Great, his son Jahangir became the ruler of India. The real name of Jahangir was Prince. He was not a strong ruler, but the art of painting came at the zenith during his period. Due to laziness of his stand in administration, his beloved wife Noor Jahan became the virtual ruler of India at that time. Now the Noor Jahan became the second woman ruler in India. From 1612 to 1627, Noor Jahan really or virtually became the ruler of medieval India. After Noor Jahan, then Shah Jahan became the Mughal Sultan. during the period of the Shah Jahan, the history of medieval India is the golden period of art and architecture. Shah Jahan is a good patronizer in art and architecture, and the India's most important monuments. When today the Taj Mahal, everybody knows about the Taj Mahal. It is the one of the wonders of the 7 wonders of the world even now. It is founded by Shah Jahan. Shah Jahan was a great in construction of such historical monuments. Taj Mahal and Jama Masjid and Pearl Masjid, Moti Masjid, etc. So many constructions made by Shah Jahan. That is the reason why the historians called him, or his period is memorized, that the golden period of medieval or Indian art and architecture. Then after Shah Jahan, the next important ruler was Aurangzeb. His period was 1658, ended with 1707. Aurangzeb was the most controversial ruler or the Sultan in Mughal India. Aurangzeb was a strong, staunch Sunni believer and who led very humble and simple life in his personal life and public life also. Aurangzeb introduced many reforms in his administration. He again introduced the zakat system after Muhammad bin Firoz Shah Tughlaq, and imposed the jizya again, it's a Quranic tax. These two tax systems, a group of people or the majority of people turned against him. They interpreted this is his stand against the non-Muslims. Actually, Aurangzeb was a man of strict Islam, but he not deliberately annoyed them, but they interpreted jizya was a deliberate special tax upon the non-Muslims. This became problematic and people turned against him and they doubted his secular mind and they interpreted he is not secular and he is a religious ruler. And the historians considered him as his responsibility for the failure of the Mughal dynasty, etc. Anyway, he was a good administrator and peace. He maintained peace and order in his territory, and he constructed many public buildings, gardens, etc. Anyway, after his death, this dynasty began to end. Really, with Aurangzeb, the historians considered the medieval period of India became a little halt for some time because he was the last strong ruler. After Aurangzeb, there are so many rulers came to power in this dynasty, but there were no strong rulers. And 1857, as we know, Bahadur Shah Zafar was the Mughal ruler, who was the last Indian emperor, and in the first Indian independence movement or battle, who was the ruler of India, Bahadur Shah Zafar. Aurangzeb, after Aurangzeb, the Mughal family or the dynasty began to decline. The next point is disintegration and fall of this dynasty. As we know, there are so many reasons for the disintegration of the Mughals. The most important matters are inherent weakness. So many inherent weakness he had in this dynasty. Number one, the weak successors. After Aurangzeb, his successors were incompetent and poor in administration. This led the disintegration and fall. The next one is vastness of the empire. As we know, the empire of the Aurangzeb was the greatest empire was existed during his time. Due to the vastness of the empire, the rulers did not give much attention to all parts of the land in time. So this vastness led the disintegration of this dynasty. Next, the Hindu-Maratha enmity. During the period of Aurangzeb, a considerable group of people from the Hindu religion and the Maratha community became the enemies of the Sultan, and they made so many problems and intrigues in many provinces. This became one of the reasons for the failure of this dynasty. Next, the attack of Nadir Shah. This was a sudden reason. 1739, Afghan leader the Nadir Shah entered in India, who attacked India in 1739. This completed the failure of Mughal dynasty. Next, we are going to Mughal administration. The Mughals introduced a strong administrative system in India. They founded a systematic setup and system. The Mughal system was the Sultan is the topmost, and then comes the central ministers, then comes the province, then comes the Sarkar, then comes Fargana, then comes village. These were the administrative units of Mughal dynasty. Then we can see the Sultan. Actually, the Mughal emperors, except Aurangzeb, all they believed in divine right kingship or divine right theory. They believed their power is derived from God. They were the representatives of God on earth. So, nobody can question their power. And they wielded all the powers in their pocket. And they became autocrats. And they became despot. But they became the benevolent despotic rulers. What here the benevolent? Benevolent means they very much attended the welfare of the people, and they paid great attention in the welfare of the subject, and they became the benevolent, autocratic and despotic rulers. And all the powers wielded in their hands. As I said earlier, nobody can question. Even though they appointed certain ministers as the council of ministers, but not met in council, but the ministers separately visited the king or emperor in their own time, not collectively joining a session or a meeting. So it is not a council. But the ministers, they separately visited the emperor. The Mughal sultans, they were the benevolent despots. And they concentrated upon the welfare of the subjects. And they appointed some ministers in center. And so we can concentrate upon the central ministers, which we call the central administration. Next to the king, in the center, the most important portfolio was the Wakil, means prime minister. The power of Wakil in the center was very next to the king, and who was always the principal minister of the sultan. And the center, who had a full control over administration in the center. Virtual sovereign. The Wakil was the virtual sovereign, who was accountable only to the sultan directly and not accountable before anybody except the sultan. This was the status of Wakil in the administration. The next department was Diwani Ala or Imperial Diwan. That means finance minister. After the Wakil in the center, Diwan was the most important minister. He was the supreme charge of the revenue and expenditure in the center. And in the center, he had to keep all office records. And he had to pass relevant orders of payments for the officers in the center. In short, the finance minister or Diwan, who had a great vigilance upon the revenue and finance and expenditure in the center. He reports all the affairs related with the revenue and expenditure in front of the sultan at any time. And to assist this Diwan or Diwan, the central government or the sultan appointed 3 more officers. Number 1, Diwani Khas, in charge of the crown lands. Number 2, Diwani Jagir, in charge of lands in lieu of services. Then the third one, Sahibi Tanj, in charge of military accounts. These 3 officers had to support and help in time the Diwan for administration in the center. This was the most important system in the Mughal administration. The next department was the Mir Baksh, the paymaster general. At first, the Mir Baksh or paymaster general was next to the Diwani Ala. Then after some time, this department or Mir Bakshi relieved from the accountability of the Diwani Ala and in charge of military affairs in the center, and he became the military record keeper in the center and who is directly accountable to the Sultan. It is very important department in the Mughal central administration. Next, Sipah Salar or Nazim, the governor. Next important department in the center was Sadar-us-Sadr, or minister in charge of charities. This is the important minister in the center. Sadar in charge of religious affairs and religious endowments, and was the religious advisor to the king. And sometimes he became the chief Qazi to the Sultan. Next important department after Sadar was Khan-e-Zaman. That means Lord of High Steward. Khan-e-Zaman was the minister of household affairs in the court, who managed the affairs in the royal palace of Sultan, who managed the royal feast in the court, who managed the marriage occasions of prince and princess in the court, whose duty was to decorate the court and palaces, and whose responsibility was the palaces or King Sultan, who was a trustworthy fellow. Sultan appointed the persons had faithfulness and trustworthiness in this post. Next important department in the center was Qazi-ul-Qasas, Lord Chief or Chief Justice of the land. Next to the king in judicial affairs in the Mughal administration, Qazi-ul-Qasas or Chief Justice was the another department. Many times this department is combined with Sadar. Qazi-ul-Qasas followed the Islamic law and principles in his judicial view, who was the Shariat protector in the land. Next department in the central government was the Muhasib or Chief Censor. The Muhasib was directly appointed by the center or the Sultan in the center. Whose main duty was moral and conduct, to examine the morality of the people in the center who followed the Islamic law, and he had to report all immoral activities timely to Sultan. These were the main duty of Muhasib or Chief Censor. Then after these major departments, there were other ministers and officers to assist them. Number one, Darogai-Dali Chowki was the chief of post and intelligence. Then Mir Atis, chief of artillery. Then the Mustawfi, auditor general. Then comes the Musharrif, chief admiral and officer of harbors. And next, Mir Bar, the superintendent of forest, and the Mir Aris, officer in charge of the petitioners. These were the main ministers or officers in the center during the period of Mughal administration.